A lot of people must be wondering, why am I here? Why is Valhalla all the way in Argentina, in Ushuaia? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, the first is, I came to the Earthship Academy to be able to learn and understand how Earthships work, what needs to go into them, and what are the process of making it happen. I mean, I understand all the things that are an Earthship, but what is the process of people working together, and what kind of managerial tasks and things do we need to set up to build our Sustainability Learning Center? This is the only time that they have an academy that is during the winter back in Montreal, so this allows me the time to be able to go now as opposed to later. The other thing is, I'm here to help the Earthship Academy. I'm here to document and create a short documentary on the town of Ushuaia, the problems that it has, and the problems that all towns seem to have in connection with Ushuaia. I mean, there's talk of all the sewage going into the bay here and all sorts of pollution and issues in terms of housing and construction here. But the reality is, this is something that is happening around the world. So I figured if I can document what is happening here, this would potentially change what is happening abroad and towards back at home or wherever you are in the world. The next thing is, in documenting and in creating this kind of looking glass eye into what is happening here, it will help propagate the Earthship model and prove that it can work literally anywhere. I mean, we're at the end of the world, a place where they get in winter only 5 or 6 hours of sunlight at all and only 2 hours of sunshine. They have tons of energy problems, tons of issues in terms of sewage and all this stuff, and if something like this can work here, then it can work absolutely anywhere. And so I'd love to document the story of Ushuaia, what's happening here, how Earthships and Michael Reynolds and these kind of structures can be part of the solution that we have, that we need in this world to treat all of this waste and this environmental issues that we have everywhere, and how we can make this all move forward and show that there are alternatives and solutions to the problems as opposed to just talking about the issues at hand. And well, what more can I say? Welcome to Ushuaia. So before we get into what is happening here in terms of the Earthship and all this stuff, one of the main things you have to understand is, who is Ushuaia? What are some of its problems and what is happening here? Is the sewage really going into the bay? What are the electricity issues? What are the construction issues that are happening here? We're going to look in depth at this, and I'm going to try and interview some locals and delve into what is actually happening here and what problems this town is facing. What do you know about Ushuaia? What are some of the characteristics that you would say describe Ushuaia?
Ushuaia is an industrial city.
Ushuaia is at the most southern tip of South America, about 1,000 kilometers away from Antarctica, on an island called Tierra del Fuego.
It is unbelievably stunning here. You wake up and you go to bed just so happy to be surrounded by this beauty in these mountains.
And go around, the mountains are great. It's a nice place to live. You got good job opportunities, you got nice, not really nice weather, but bearable weather.
Pouring rain in the morning, windy as hell, cold, and then it's a summer day, it's 65, and you have to bring layers. You have to wear layers when you come to work, and it's just constantly shifting, and I don't know, I think that's sort of a positive and a negative. It's kind of a little mix, but it's just, you can't beat this landscape. It's gorgeous.
Lots of countryside, lots of mountains, lots of hikes.
Cuando yo crecí, cuando yo era chico, esquiaba, por ejemplo, en aquel glaciar y volvía esquiando hasta la puerta de mi casa, donde me sacaba los esquíes y entraba a tomar la leche. Cuando era adolescente me iba a tomar la leche arriba del glaciar, lo escalaba y la vida acá era como muy salvaje todo el tiempo, y todo el tiempo hacíamos, las actividades eran con la naturaleza. Siempre los juegos fueron hacer parapente aprovechando el viento, hacer kayaking aprovechando los rápidos y los lagos, y hacer buceo, y esta isla era como un gran parque de diversiones.
Like 30 years ago, it had a population of 3,000 inhabitants. and now it has more than 90,000.
90,000.
Yes, it's an exponential growth up. It happened because some big factories installed here and gave a lot of job for the people.
That kind of growth, that kind of fast growth is very unusual in a country like Argentina, that it has a very small, steady growth. It's not an overpopulated Latin American country.
Y la verdad es que con todo este crecimiento que tiene Ushuaia así de una manera desmedida, empecé a notar que llegábamos a un punto de inflexión.
The town of Ushuaia is a stunning town, surrounded by the most beautiful mountains and incredible views. However, they do have one big problem. This is where their shit ends up. You were telling me a little bit about the
Yes,
housing and then the sewage.
There was a lot of people coming, and the government didn't do anything to solve that problem. They didn't make a planification, an urban planification.
Ushuaia tiene unos 10 caños cloacales que salen directamente a la bahía. En los días de calor o en cualquiera de estos días, si vos caminás por la bahía vas a sentir olor a mierda. El agua ya no tiene un sabor rico para tomarla de la canilla. Cuando yo era chico, el agua embotellada no existía en Ushuaia porque el agua era de deshielo y era un elixir tomar eso. Hoy es bastante intomable.
So what are they doing with their waste, with their garbage, with their toilets?
The toilets are not treated, the water is not treated. They are taking it to the rivers and into the mountains, just like this.
And so they're throwing all their waste into the rivers, into the mountains, and it's ending up where?
In the bay.
How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, I don't like it. It's disgusting for me.
And they have serious sewage problems here. Well, not problems, they just basically dump it into the bay. And so we're trying to make a plant-growing botanical situation that will consume the sewage.
The shit and piss is literally coming out of this tube right here, and you can absolutely smell it. And the wind is behind me, so it's actually going down towards the other side. But, oh man, it's disgusting. No plant life in here because it's all this sewage. And you can see some shit floating around. Have you heard about like?
Oh yeah, I heard it and I smelled it and I've seen it. So I walked around the bay with Juan, a guy that works here and is from here, and he showed me the bay and he showed me the sewage coming out. And for me, it's pretty shocking, but in a way I'm used to it because in Brazil we have plenty of rivers that happens this, you know? So you don't even see the water moving. It's just stopped and sloped and kind of bubbly of all these things that are fermentating under it.
I heard a story about the fact that the bay used to be a place where kids and families and things can go ice skating. Is that true?
It was back in the days. They don't let it freeze anymore, just so people don't go there because the water was so crappy a few years ago. I guess you couldn't go anyway now.
They can't really fish directly off the harbor now because it's contaminated with all their shit.
Well, you can see it. You can see it as you walk around the bay. You can see it coming in. I mean, you can smell it. There's no doubt about what it is. I mean, there is no treatment here.
For years, when they first came here, they would just dump all of their sewage into this triangle bay that they've man-made. It's like a little pond, a little island there that just is trapped. It's trapped sewage. It's disgusting, and that's, I don't know, that's what, it's been there, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
And
in fact, this entire space that we're standing on used to be that bay. And they dug it down and they turned this basically into a landfill, and it used to be covered full of shit.
Jesus.
And it's such a problem that they actually filled up this whole area, but they kept that over there.
So they scooted it all over here?
Well, basically, where we are used to be in the bay, and then they moved rocks and things down and used it as a landfill and filled the bay up with garbage, and basically, and then made these roads and made this little
Holy
area.
shit, man.
And now they stopped because it was really obvious in front of the city. Everybody would see that the water was shit and really dirty, and they changed the sewage channel not to go in the bay but to go a little bit further up behind the airport and throw everything directly into the big old channel, which is flowing all the time, big current, goes further away. So basically you could say that the area is pretty clean, but only because everything washes away somewhere else.
I think the city have to think very seriously about plans, longer objectives to change these things.
I think it's a round thing. It's all goes around, comes around. If you don't take care of your own shit, who'll take care of your shit? You're just dumping it to somebody else to take care. So it's time for each one to take care of their own shit.
Estamos contaminando nuestras costas. El 80% de la contaminación de las costas es mierda humana. Y es no estar viendo que nosotros somos este paisaje. Que si este paisaje no está, no estamos nosotros. Que no somos los conquistadores de nada. Estamos cohabitando con esto.
Given that Earthships use a lot of recycled materials, we decided that it's really important to go see the Ushuaia recycling factory, which is right behind me.
Nos encontramos en la ciudad de Ushuaia, que está implantada en la provincia de Tierra del Fuego. Es una isla pequeña, con una situación geográfica particular, mucha agua, lagos, montañas, por lo cual los espacios son muy reducidos. Y los espacios que determinamos para los residuos se nos van acotando cada vez más.
Entonces la idea de poner esto acá era que toda la ciudad vea que esto puede no ser basura. Un dato interesante es que Ushuaia programó su basural para que durase 20 años. En 8 años se llenó, tuvieron que comprar más tierras para seguir llenando, ya no hay más tierras que comprar y quedan muy pocos años para que ese relleno sanitario quede inutilizado. El tamaño de ese relleno sanitario es casi igual al del centro de Ushuaia. O sea que todo eso podrían haber sido viviendas y gente viviendo en mejores condiciones. Pero como el consumo es tan grande y producimos tanta cantidad de basura y eso va en aumento, el relleno se empieza a llenar y a desbordar de basura.
Tenemos gran cantidad de cubiertas debido a la gran cantidad de vehículos que hay en la ciudad. Y además con la particularidad de que como usamos neumáticos para el invierno, por la nieve y el hielo, y neumáticos para el verano, cada propietario de un auto tiene un juego de 8 a 12 ruedas. Así que la cantidad realmente es de un volumen impresionante. Fue por eso que el programa Ushuaia Recicla decide tomar cartas en el asunto y buscarle una solución inmediata al problema de las ruedas. De esta forma empezamos en una etapa de acopio hace 3 años y descubrimos que en muchos espacios, muchas viviendas, muchos terrenos, muchas empresas tenían acumuladas gran cantidad de ruedas. De esta forma llegamos a juntar 14.000 ruedas en 3 años y ahora estamos recogiendo las de cada año, que son alrededor de 2.000. Además, la situación de Ushuaia, que tiene una ley de promoción industrial particular, hace que no podamos sacar los residuos de nuestra provincia sin modificar su estado natural.
People don't recycle just because the city doesn't have the proper infrastructure for it. If I want to sort my my garbage, like plastic, glass, the common 3 garbage thing, I need to walk 6 blocks, which is not a lot, but I need to walk 6 blocks with all my bottles to throw it in one place. And I live in the center. Someone that lives up in the mountain has to work like 10 blocks to change it. And pretty much everything that goes into the 3 containers is dropped at the same place. So even if the people would do it, maybe it's good to like conscientialize the people, get the people to do things the right way. But if at the end it goes all in the same place, it's not really worth it, I guess. So people just give up on it, and I give up on it. It's not necessarily good, but I don't want to trouble myself and go all the way down. So then to see the truck in the morning, just pile it all up in the same one and throw it up in the mountain.
Una rueda que entra a la provincia no puede salir en el mismo estado de rueda. Por eso es que compramos estas maquinarias que las deforman y las tajean transformándolas en tiras. Después te voy a mostrar una. Así transformadas y luego de juntar una gran cantidad, las mandamos a la ciudad de Buenos Aires. Allí en el CEAMSE, que es el Centro de Acopio de Residuos, está implantada la única industria de la Argentina que recicla el neumático. Se llama Regomax y es una fábrica de canchas sintéticas para deporte. Cancha sintética de fútbol, cancha sintética para hockey y pisos plásticos. Ahora, lo curioso es que esta empresa, para hacer una cancha, necesita 18.000 neumáticos, que son los que tenemos hoy en Ushuaia.
So what I learned today by coming here is that there's still a massive problem. Here in Ushuaia, the recycling plant has only been open for 2 years, and they're still not even dealing with close to as many bottles and cans, tires, and all that stuff that needs to be recycled that is being produced here in the city. I mean, I'm not saying that Earthships are the said-all solution to everything that we need to do. I mean, clearly we have to start consuming less and can't consider, using all the plastic and water bottles and tires and things the way that we are now. But it is a way of recycling 100% of the materials. Now I say that because here, when they recycle, if you take a plastic bottle, they only can recycle about 25% of those materials to be reused in the future. Now, they're not the most advanced in terms of technology, but even the best recycling can only go up to about maybe 75% of the reuse. Behind me is a pile of tires that they are recycling, but there's really not much they can do with all the tires that are still out there, which they cannot deal with. Their facility is limited in size, and they really can't deal with the overwhelming number of tires that are coming in each and every day. So they have to send them to the landfill. In an Earthship, we are reusing 100% of the tires, bottles, cans, everything that is going into it is all being put into this building. Again, it is not the set-all solution. We do have to consider consuming less if we want to have a better and brighter and greener future. Way up behind me on that mountainside is the government of Ushuaia's dirty little secret. It's a neighborhood known as El Escondido, which translates to the hidden. Now, it's known as such because the government of Ushuaia is providing no help to these families that are living there. They are amongst the thousands of houses without any utilities from the government, which means no running water and no electricity. Let's go check out some of their dire living conditions.
El Escondido, estuve el domingo a la mañana en El Escondido. Y es muy loco porque toda la gente de la ciudad que hace más tiempo que está y que vive como civilizadamente se queja porque los del barrio Escondido no tienen cloacas y tiran su mierda hacia la ciudad. La ciudad hace lo mismo, solo que tira la mierda a la bahía. La diferencia es que los peces no se pueden quejar, que la centolla no se puede quejar, que los mejillones no se pueden quejar, pero estamos haciendo lo mismo.
So they have a name for these people who live without the electricity and the water. And I don't know the Spanish word for it, but basically translates to the hidden. How do you feel about that?
It makes me so sad because I can relate to that in a lot of ways in Canada, and working with First Nations people, seeing the reserve system and seeing, you know, and knowing that that's what the government tries to do. They hide our secrets. They hide, you know, I can totally, that hurts my heart, actually. That makes me feel really sad.
Thanks.
I believe that makes you feel really sad.
Oh. That's terrible.
What do you think about the name El Escondido?
¿Qué piensas del nombre, El Escondido?
Esta parte de acá se llama el mirador de Ushuaia. El escondido es abajo.
Ah.
Según la gente no le gustaba el nombre escondido.
You know, all the people living in these fairly affluent neighborhoods or whatever, you know, I have a feeling that, the supposed slums up there or whatever, you know, those people, they're just, all their waste sewage is just running down the hill, and, you know, all their garbage is all over the place, and all their waste sewage is going straight to the bay. I mean, it happens to be in a tube.
And we were in a cab the other day, and taking a cab from here, and we were telling him what we're doing, and he kind of got a little bit angry, and he goes, you know, it's great what you're doing here, you know, I like the idea, but what you're doing isn't for Ushuaia. It's not for these people, because there's, we learned that there's 8,000 families that are in the mountains, living in the valley with no water, no hydro, and they're living really in these structures that just they're not up to code.
Todos somos espejos del otro, y si nos molesta lo que hace el otro es porque en algún lugar debemos estar haciendo algo que tiene que ver con eso. Creo que hay mucho conflicto en la ciudad con los del escondido, y en definitiva son personas y quieren vivir mejor también. Nadie quiere vivir entre la mugre.
Or not as effective. So there's a lot of people living in a very cold area, burning wood because they don't have access to not even natural gas like the rest of the city. They are living, you know, in a very tight situation, very crowded situation with very, very little in a very extreme weather. I mean, living in a tight situation and overcrowded for Latin America is no news, but in this weather, it's pretty extreme.
Very extreme.
I think this should be more connected. People who really need it, and the municipality should show them what's really going on.
I mean, they're doing the same. I mean, honestly, they're doing the same thing, but worse, because they're also just, they have money. They're like consuming. I mean, these folks up here on the hill, you know, they're living probably, honestly, a more sustainable lifestyle than this.
So as you can see, we're in El Escondido, and I can hear construction going on in the background. And I'm told, well, basically, this whole area is a national park. It's a national forest, so they're not allowed to be here, as you've kind of heard before. And man, the place is built with all kinds of rackety construction, all kinds of issues, as you can clearly kind of see behind me. I mean, anything and everything is a construction material. It's completely unfinished, no finished wood, no finished anything. And for a slum, though, I gotta say one thing. They do have one of the most magnificent views out there. I mean, they've got one of the nicest places in the city, but I guess this is why it was a national park. I was told that they don't have electricity, but I do see wires here and light bulbs. And what I'm told is that they're illegally getting some of this electricity. They're stealing it from lower down in the city and then bringing it up. And some people have it, some people don't. They don't have running water, so they do have to get their water from elsewhere, and they have to get stuff shipped up inside. And they're also tearing down the trees.
More people are coming every day, every month. People are pouring into the city. The city doesn't have the time to follow. It doesn't grow as fast as this. You cannot just build things, and so it takes time. And the only the only chance these people have is find a place where there's nothing, build a house there and stay there until something new comes up.
It would be more like a social idea of what's going on here. Like they could understand that this is not only for the rich people, because most people that live in slums and they see a lot of foreigners working and creating a beautiful Earthship in the middle of this town, they're like, oh, look at them, they're just constructing another tourist area. So I think the government should use a little bit more effort and bring them here.
I'm more intrigued about the possible uses for social, improvement, to impact a community that has less.
These are the best places to find ways or to integrate these kind of solutions. There was the UN which did a report saying that slums were the most kind of eco-friendly places on Earth because they use they recycle pretty much everything they have.
I think those are the areas with the most potential, because I'm super into building in slums. That's what I want to do, and that's where most of the growth in urban areas is going to happen for the next 50 years. Mm-hmm. And so those areas are the places that we have to teach people how to actually build.
The most negative things in life can also be the most inspiring, so I think, there's a lot to be done.
That's a lot closer to this than all this other stuff below is. And that's why we want to get involved with those people, because see, we can make their lives easier for them and better, and give them more time to do things that they enjoy, or to further education of themselves or their kids or whatever, by getting them into something like this and breaking, the cycle that they're in right now.
Si vos le das a alguien, mira, te ofrezco este basural o este jardín para que vivas, te aseguro que va a elegir el jardín.
Y no sé, la solución sería si hay, que nos den viviendo en otro lado y nos vamos. O sea, por mí, si yo tuviera un lugar donde irme allá abajo, me voy. Pero si no, no aguanto.
And he said that the city doesn't let them build anything there. They won't let them take building materials up there, and they won't let them bring the pipes, like the water pipes and the electricity up there, because it's too expensive. So what he said in the end, and he got out of his car and he was like, look at this water I have to bring up to my house every day, and I have no electricity, and there's 8,000 families. That's like, 24,000 people in a city. That's like 1/3 of the population that live in this, really poor living conditions. And so he was like, it's good for what you're doing here, but this, the government's not going to do anything about it. And that's what he was, that's what kind of got me. As soon as he said that, I was like, you're right, it's like this in a lot of other places. This isn't, something that's unique to Ushuaia. We do all these things, and yes, tourists are going to see this, and yes, it makes the government look good, but what's the action going to be after we leave? And who, is someone going to step up and use these skills and these teachings of living off the land and helping the people up there get better living conditions together?
Which way? No, that way.
Yeah, I'll try this one. Pump the gas, no?
I'm going to kill this guy.
Change is a really tricky thing. It's an elusive topic. It's ever changing, ironically, and it's hard to come by. We hope and pray for it. People live and die fighting for it. But I guess the best way to it is through intentions, love, understanding, cooperation, trust, empowerment, and just through personal responsibility. Responsibility to the world, responsibility to yourself, responsibility to your future family or other people's future families, responsibility to nature, to animals, to streams, to rivers, to forests, to skies and winds, to soil and to everything around us. So it might sound cliche to say things like, be the change you want to see in the world. But the truth is that cliche only means that it stands for a universal truth. It just means that this is so commonly said because it's so commonly accepted that this is actually what we should be doing. It's super important that we care about these things, not because of global warming, not because of whatever thing that might or may not be causing some problems or climate change or whatever. It's not because of that. It's because, wouldn't it be nice if we had cleaner air and fresher water? Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't waste as much? Wouldn't it be like a better solution if we didn't have to solve all these environmental issues, if we just were more self-sustainable about it, if we were just more conscious about our consumptions? Wouldn't it be like, we all want better air. We all want it. And yet we don't all contribute to it equally. And that's the tragedy of the commons. The tragedy of the commons is the #1 problem in the world today, which basically explains that what is good for any individual is often detrimental to society. Yet we're motivated individually and not through the collective. We have disengaged from society. We've distrusted it. We don't necessarily feel the same responsibilities towards it because of the problems that things like governments pose, because of the mistrust of theft and violence and all of these things. We've disengaged from it, and we've lost this sense of community. We find it in other ways. We play sports, or we become fans of certain teams or singers or things, and we regroup as communities on Facebook and then on social media or around video games. But we're not doing it as a society. We haven't found a way to regroup properly as Earth inhabitants, as humans that care about nature. And this isn't hippie ideals. This isn't hippie thoughts. It's not only people who are tree huggers, quote unquote, who need to care about this stuff. It's everyone, because this affects all of us. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly define a hippie. To me, a hippie is the type of person that protests and complains and says that the world has problems and that we should all have peace and love, and that's the way that everything should be. And yeah, an ideal world, peace and love, when roses and rainbows and unicorns and all these things would be fantastic, but that's not the real world. Valhalla is looking to advocate serious change, and to do such, we really have to put together a recipe of elements that will make this happen. There are 4 ingredients to sustainable change. That is sustainable ideas, knowledge, community, and action. In order to make sustainable change, you have to start with sustainable ideas. And an Earthship is a perfect example. Whether it be the recycled materials, the reuse of the water, the off-the-grid power systems, or the planting of fruits and vegetables literally in your living room. It's really something that is completely unique and can revolutionize the world.
An Earthship is a building that basically stands alone, takes care of its inhabitants in a way that is pretty much in alignment with the physics and biology of the planet. It's It addresses 6 issues that every country and city is dealing with, and that's comfortable shelter, electricity, water, sewage treatment, food, and garbage.
What Mike did was he really realized the physics of it, where you have a thermal mass, in that case it's the tires and dirt, and then you insulate it really well on the outside, so whatever heat you take in, it stays there for you in the evening. And then the greenhouse on the front, and then growing plants, and then treating your gray water, and not flushing your toilet with fresh water. These are all brilliant ideas. It took him a couple of decades to bring it all together, but it's fantastic bringing all those elements together into one house. It's just by far the best off-grid house in the world. I've looked at so many designs, it beats them all because it just does everything.
It's really fascinating how Earthships do work. They really are a sustainable idea in many senses of the word. There's lots of criticism as to the use of concrete in the construction. The only reason they really do that is because of the deadlines that they have to respect in making something like this go up in 30 days, for example.
Earthships are kind of a dichotomy, though. They are aimed at keeping people alive and healthy without much technology. You know, physics is not technology. Physics is here on the planet before we were, so was biology. So we're kind of trying to marry the non-technical physics and biology of the planet, and then making use of the technologies that's here, but it's less reliable than the physics and biology of the planet. So we don't want to get too wrapped up in it like the world is now. They're all wrapped up in technology, and as technology starts to falter, like the nuclear power plant in Japan and many other things like that, as technology falters, people find themselves panicked. And when you're just encountering the physics and biology of the planet, you're never going to really have to panic because it's always going to be there.
Sustainability isn't a product, it's a lifestyle. You can't just consume sustainability or buy it. You have to be it, and the only way to be it is to be conscious. Now, being conscious happens in many shapes and forms, whether it be being conscious about how much you consume in terms of food or water, or the materials that you use in your construction or in your everyday life. Whether it be about wasting less or just consuming a little bit less and changing your patterns. All of these things are sustainable ideas. You just need to adopt them and make them work for you. I mean, we don't all live in Earthships, and not all of us are going to live in Earthships. But what we can do is consciously consume, whether we live in a condo, a house, whether we live in Argentina or Alaska, or China, or anywhere in the world. These kind of principles and consciousness and sustainable ideas can be adopted absolutely anywhere.
If you want to live off the grid and you don't have much money, you need to think about the way you live. You can't just maybe come from the way you lived and have all the accessories just churning out power and leaving the lights on and leaving the TV on. You have to think more about the way you live and how that is going to correspond to the amount of power that you can afford to put on your house.
If you decide that you're going to adopt a sustainable lifestyle, then all you need to do is start today. Start by consuming a little bit less and being a little bit conscious of what you do in a day. I mean, take 1 week to examine your patterns. How often do you eat out? Where do you eat? What do you do with your water usage? How much do you buy in a week? Do you really need to buy all of those things? And is there a way that you can be more mindful of the things that you do? It's as simple as maybe not even getting disposable coffee cups at Starbucks, but being able to bring your own mug and filling that up. There are so many things that people can do to change their patterns and change their lifestyle, to be more sustainable, and it really only starts with you. Once you've already made a conscious decision to adopt more sustainable ideas within your life, the next step is acquiring the knowledge to be able to make it work. There are tons of sustainable technologies out there and available to you. And the first step is valuing learning things. If you take on a learning culture in your lifestyle, then you're going to consistently reach in and pull out this knowledge to be able to apply in your own life. Whether it be for your family, for a school, for a nonprofit, or for anything, just be passionate about learning. I mean, most of us are, but if you really dedicate some time to research some of these things, you'll really understand how they work and you'll really be able to implement them in your own life.
Like when you think back that you had to go to a library to research this stuff, and now you've got the web. If you know how to search, you can find everything on the web and how to do it and how to hook it up. All questions are answered.
You know, my job every day requires me to be creative, you know, with the things that I'm doing and helping other people figure out a way. And I learn from these people every time I have them with me. It's not just a one-way street. It's not just me teaching them how to do it. It's me finding, you know, ideas from them as well. You know, everybody has solutions. It's just a matter of getting over your fear of finding those solutions.
Once you have that crew core, that energy starts to spread out. And when you start to surround that key crew with more and more volunteers, they feed off of our energy. They see our enthusiasm. They recognize, hey, look, these guys aren't out here saying, go do this, go dig that hole. They see the crew, we're digging the hole, and you're just there to help us. And we're here teaching you that technique. So we never tell you to do something we haven't done it 1,000 times ourselves.
Yeah, well, the volunteers, I can't say enough about the volunteers. I mean, they are what keep the ball rolling.
You see how you don't have to have the skills on a normal, job site. You can come with no preconception of how anything's built, and you can leave knowing at least how to build a smaller ship yourself, if not knowing how to build the whole thing.
I'm really impressed with how Earthships come together and how quickly knowledge can be acquired. Group of inexperienced builders team up, they learn based on a couple of people who aren't really teachers but who have experience doing this kind of stuff, and they come together and make a functioning, off-the-grid building in 30 days. And if you're not impressed by that, then I don't know what is going to impress you. There are a lot of people who are overwhelmed with where to start when it comes to knowledge. Just start where you feel it makes sense. Is it solar panels that interest you more? Is it rainwater? Is it aquaponics? You name it, just start. On the road to change, sustainable ideas are the vehicle, and knowledge is the fuel that powers them. Community plays an incredible role in creating change around the world. I mean, this entire Earthship wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the coming together of tons of people to make it happen. And the same applies to pretty much everything. Sustainable technologies are developed by numerous people and tested by an array of people. The ideas, concepts, and roles that people play within all of this are completely different.
I mean, people might have an impression that it's all granola and kumbaya and all that stuff. I mean, it's so not that. People come, a lot of them are professional architects, or they're in environmental science, or whatever, anything. So the personalities and the vocations of the people who come in there are vastly different. They're mixed. It's really eclectic.
The people that you meet doing this from all over the world, people come to us wanting to know about what this is about.
Obviously, there's that thing that bonds everybody, which is caring about a better way to do things. Everyone has this goal to improve life on the planet and not screw up the planet and be more self-sufficient. So that is the glue that binds the community.
It's amazing. It's the best time I've ever had in my life.
The role of community is absolutely vital due to the varying degrees of skills that people have. Some people are good with glass and wood, others with maybe pounding tires or cement work. All of those things go into an Earthship though, and that's what makes it really incredible. Whether it be the funding, the staging, the building, or even the maintenance, all of these things require a community of people to understand them and to make them happen.
Everybody can talk all over the planet about the same thing at the same time, and people are telling their experiences, they're telling their inspirations, they're basically becoming a family, we call it an army of people that not only, this is the interesting thing, they not only want this for themselves, but they're recognizing that if all people had this, the planet would be a hell of a better place. And they're actually out there trying to do that for more people than just themselves.
I've seen a lot of amazing projects be grown out of community efforts, just complete volunteers who believe in the same thing and work together to make it happen. And that's the way homes used to be built, and more people have become individualistic and basically struggle, to live on their own. But really people are happier when you work in a community, you make friends, you depend on one another, but you also make friends that are basically forever.
Community is something that we all long for. We all look to belong, whether it be part of a sports team or a chess club, whether it be in part of a group or a classroom or a protest. All of these things are communities, and communities are what bond together our world. It's what makes life enjoyable, because doing something on your own might be fun, but it's really fun to share it as well. I think the role of community is incredibly important, and it's actually the thing that most projects are missing. Many projects have sustainable ideas and knowledge, and most people want to take action, but they don't always have the community of people around them to make it work.
These kids are working like harder than anybody that's ever been paid. They smoke us, they blowing us away. Every day I step back and I just like, holy shit, look at what they've accomplished. And it's just like, it blows my mind. Even as powerful and high energy paced that we are, it's a monster.
We all feel overwhelmed at the fact that changing the entire world can't be something that we do alone. However, we are responsible to be a part of that community. If we join in on sustainable technologies and join the conversation in making some of these things propagate further, move further, and we also put our money and time and effort where our mouth is, then we really can change the world. It's truly remarkable how a group of people without any real building experience can come together and make an Earthship. There's so many things that go with it, but the reality is that it's action, putting one step in front of the other and rolling with the punches that makes something like this possible.
They understand the spirit of just getting out there and doing something. If you're scared to, if you consider all the implications of what you're doing, and you're afraid of either failing or not meeting everyone's expectations, you're not going to do anything. Part of this is just getting out there and doing something.
That's how you get to be part of the movement, is just by showing up, being there, and watching, helping, and participating in any way. There's so many things going on that people that gravitate to the things that are going on are helping build the planet.
What people don't realize is that action is something that is incredibly powerful. If you set your mind on something, set your intentions, you are the architect of the universe. You can truthfully change the world around you if only you are to commit to any one cause. And it's very rare that any one person commits to a cause. Think Michael Reynolds as an example. Started building houses out of garbage and cans and bottles, and people must have thought he was crazy. But in him taking action, waves of people and an increasing amount, an exponential amount of people have joined in on this movement.
So that being said, are you hopeful for the future, for change, for the fact that we would change the status quo that we're living today?
No. I am hopeful for the future for individuals who want to break away and be self-sufficient.
Nobody said that creating change is going to be easy, and the same applies to action. Taking action will make you feel uncomfortable. It will make you tired. It will make you want to quit. There's days where you just want to completely give up everything that you're doing to be able to relax and step away from the change that you're trying to create. But persistence is what really makes action worthwhile. Persistence, coupled with action, is what causes long-lasting change. Because your actions as an individual influence other people. Whether it be a superstar who's influencing a whole bunch of people, whether it be a star architect like Michael Reynolds, or whether it be an individual like you, when people see that you are taking action, those around you, circles small or big, are going to notice this change. They're going to understand that change might be possible and have different opinions. Sometimes there'll be varying opinions. Sometimes they'll be negative, sometimes they'll be positive. But the point is that you're going to have people thinking about it. This is what the media does all the time. The media presents a story, we all talk about it, and often enough, we're criticizing the media for all of its bullshit. But it's up to us to talk about it, not the media, because the media is only catering to what we're listening to. You are the consumer. You are the person who votes every single time you spend $1. You are the person who takes action. You are the person in control. We all have a responsibility to making this change. Individuals have the true potential to change the world. Even you, even me, even everyone behind me, and everyone in the world has this potential, but we have to unlock it by stepping out of our comfort zone. You have to chase after the things that you believe are the change that you want to see in the world, and you have to make it happen. There's no other way that we can expect change if we ourselves are not being a part of it. What I also realize is that the problems of Ushuaia are the problems that are being faced everywhere around the world. It's a virus. It's annoying. Sometimes it would be easier if we didn't care. It would be easier if everything was already right in the world. But it's also an opportunity. You know, moments of weakness or despair often lead to some of the most incredible revolutions in human history. I mean, only through the Dark Ages can we have a serious period of enlightenment. Only through World War II can we realize how unified we can possibly be sometimes. Only through some of the worst can we experience some of the best. I just hope that watching this Earthship coming together, that you're inspired to realize that there are actionable steps that you could take to be part of the solution. I hope that you understand that there is something that you can do today that will make this better, that will move us in the right direction.
Well, I am reluctant to say that Earthships is a solution. I think that Earthships is a direction. It will become a solution when everybody is doing it. And right now, there's lots of people that don't even know about it. But it is a direction, and people can relate to that direction. We're seeing that obviously by the numbers of people that just want to be a part of this.
Do you think it'll be mainstream?
I think that it will be beyond mainstream. I think it will be the stream.
And that's what Valhalla's about. That's what Valhalla's about. Making sustainability mainstream, taking those small steps every day, documenting the process. And that's, you know, as much as I had fun here and I enjoyed being with the crew and meeting all these people, I really can't wait to go home. Because I realized that my town and where Valhalla is and every town has these problems and that we need to fix it.
My only question is, what would you say to somebody at home who has a little bit of a doubt as to whether or not they should come to the academy, or whether or not they should build an Earthship, or they should drop what they're doing, or follow their passion?
Yeah, no fear. Don't let fear stop you from doing anything, ever. No, that's what I say. That's what I say to my students. That's what I say to people, the interns that come to work with us. My job is to, I can't teach you what 20 years of experience have taught me of building houses and working this kind of work. But the one thing I can teach you is to not be afraid. Just do not be afraid to try. And that's it.
You're gonna crack under the pressure or things not going your way, well, you know, forget it. You just can't, you can't do it. You have to maintain a semblance of organization, but also you gotta roll with the punches. You gotta be able to problem solve like on a moment's notice, you know. Maybe your solution isn't the absolute best, but you gotta come up with one quick. And not hesitate, and just to keep it moving forward. Keep it moving forward at all costs.
There's been a tipping point already. The future is absolutely bright.
I'm more excited than I ever have been, if that's even possible. So I see great things for this company, and I see great things for the future for humanity as a whole.
What I can say is that I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful in people like you stepping up and rising to the occasion. I'm hopeful that people will continue to acquire the knowledge and propagate the sustainable ideas. I'm hopeful in the growing of the community that I consistently see more and more people jumping on board in, and I'm also very hopeful in the actions that are taking place to make things a better place. I believe the tides are turning. I believe change is upon us, not tomorrow, not when the system collapses, but today, because people like you and I and people around me and Earthships and the world of people are valuing it more and more.
Cauquenes. How about that? My poo.
Mamá, que salís hablando castellano.
This is a gift to the Earthship from Eduardo Alvarez Tuñón. If you have the good fortune of walking to the shore of the canal or along Mapu Avenue and then turning towards Los Cauquenes Street, between the mountain and the sea, when the unique flowers of the lupanas of Ushuaia get more colorful, you can see the Navatera, the Earthship. Its name describes it with the perfection of the words. It seems to be born from the very earth and to move towards one of the most moving horizons on the planet. The back wall allows a glimpse of bottles. Some say the house is built with the things that we no longer use, but they're wrong. It's made of all those things that accompanied us and helped us live. It's not contempt for things, but a celebration of those things. It's a way of saving them and saving ourselves. Bottles aren't just bottles, but they're witnesses of shared dinners, joys, laughs, and conversations that won't return. The tires have something of all the trips we've taken throughout our lives. The Earthship is made up of all of our days. Recycling is a subtle form of homage. It's like a Noah's Ark of all those things that have helped us live. A ship that saves everything. I watch them work from a distance. Suddenly there's some wind, some clouds, some drizzle, some sunshine. It's not the weather of Ushuaia. What happens is that all these elements of the planet come up to see how a house is built. Eduardo Alvarez Tuñón.
So if you were to take away any one message from everything that you've seen here, whether it be the problems of Ushuaia or the building of this Earthship, let it be this: that through intent, we are the architects of the universe. Intent leads to action, action to change, and change leads to a better tomorrow, something you can be a part of.
I'm not really sure how to explain. It's like trying to hold on to a runaway freight train and get away. You need to be a minute too late. Some people say shit happens, others call it fate. It's like waking up a baby just to be in your bed with the memories of a night before run through your head and find out that if you got lost, well, if you want to play, you got to pay the cost. It's like the first time you believe in love at first sight, 'cause after God don't say true love is a lie. But watch you as your breath got taken away. You don't believe in magic, but you did that day. And sing, let the sun shine on, and let your love be strong. Oh, ooh, and let the sun shine on, and let your love be strong. static thing you get from your head to your toes as you expand out onto an open road, tantalized by all the possibilities. No, a round trip ticket would never work for me, cause there's too much to do and too much to see. I want to taste, I want to touch, I want too much, too much, too much. Then I just need to remember to breathe. But goddamn, it feels good to be free and sing, let the sun shine on and let your love be strong. Oh,
I can't wait to go home and continue to walk down the path that I believe is the right path, to build the world that we know is possible in our hearts today.